Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margot Donahue and Sonia Mansfield talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy.
Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Margot Donahue, and my cohort in creepitude, as always, is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hey, Sonia.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. We're recording on a different day. We're replaying an episode today because there's so much going on in the comedy world. We talked about our subject today. Our main subject is Max Landis. We will totally get into him. I didn't know who he was. Sonia had to figure this out for me.
He's a fucking creep.
Oh, we should get going through that too. If this is your first time listening.
Sorry, everybody.
Salty language on this program. You can find us at What a Creep Podcast. We have a What a Creep Podcast group on Facebook. It's a private group. You do have to answer questions, including, are you going to follow the goddamn rules?
Yes, please read the rules of engagement. They're not there for your amusement. They're there. We do enforce those. So if you show up and you start acting a fool, we will kick you out. We don't want to do that, but we're trying to keep the group a safe place.
Exactly. We do have a basic Facebook page. That's where you can go to complain about our language. We have our Twitter account is at CreepPod because somebody had What a Creep for over 10 years and never used it.
Creep.
We're on Instagram at What a Creep Podcast, and we have an old-timey email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. Those are all the places that you can reach us. That's to send us your suggestions for creeps and non-creeps and just, tell us what you like about the show. Mostly what you like about the show is what we're interested in.
Please.
We have a few 5-star reviews. I just want to give a quick shout out
Yay.
to Hezbella and Emily. Thank you both so much for giving us 5-star reviews.
Oh, thank you.
It helps us do that ratio versus the dudes that send us reviews like, no.
Yeah, their reviews are 1 star. No. Thanks for the deep thoughts, my friend.
Tell them about the website really quick.
Yes, you can go to whatacreeppodcast.com and it's everything you ever wanted to know about our show, but we're afraid to ask. There are links to almost all of our episodes because the first 4 seasons are behind the Patreon wall. More on that in a second. Each of those episodes also has links to all of our resources. We source everything that we talk about, so you can find them there. You can also just find them wherever you listen to your podcast, like swipe right or left or whatever,
something
up or down, and you'll and you'll see the sources. They're there, and there's a link to our merch shop where you could get t-shirts and face masks and tote bags and journals, all kinds of great stuff. So do it. We also do have a Patreon page if you want to help support the show. We have a couple of very affordable options. We just went to a yearly option if you want to. Woo! Christine just did that, and Wendy just joined us. We also put out a newsletter. We really appreciate everyone who does that, but if money is tight, we totally get that. Just tell a friend about the show or just follow us on social media or share an episode if you feel like it. We'd like that very much. Yeah, or email us and we'll send you some stickers and slap it on all your stuff, and it's a little icebreaker. What's that? It's my favorite podcast, What a Creep.
With
no
Sonia
big deal.
We wanted to replay this episode because earlier, either this week or last week, since COVID times.
What is time, man?
What is time? In our Patreon bonus episodes, we've brought up a few times a couple of people. One of them is Crystalia. We're talking about him a little bit today. He's a stand-up comic, but we'd love to talk about Jen Kirkman. She's a fantastic stand-up, and she talks a lot about women and feminism and women in comedy and the bullshit that they have to put up with. And then we just found someone, Alice Hamilton, who's amazing.
Amazing.
And she just went on a Crystalia rant that was delicious.
So good.
Which was
so good.
It was so great. So we have in our show notes the tweet link for Alice, for Jen Kirkman. We also talk about why are people talking about Crystalia? Well, it's because he's been accused by people for called child sexual abuse. basically grooming teenage girls using social media. Stand-up comedian, had a bunch of specials, a bunch of podcasts. He's still podcasting. He's still doing stand-up. He lost a role for Netflix, excuse me. Tig Notaro took his role, but she was she was the best part of that movie, by the way, from what I remember.
I couldn't even sit through the movie, and it was no fault of Tig Notaro. It was just not for me. But I would be fine if we just want to erase him completely and replace him with Tig Notaro and everything. I'd be fine with this.
Oh my God, that's a great idea.
And also, could we just erase all sexual assaulters and replace them with Tig Notaro? Great idea. I'm into it.
Well, first of all, I saw this clip, and it's Crystalia, and like I said, he was accused of, he hasn't been convicted, being sued, going through stuff. I always think like, well, and people don't care about women in comedy, and they certainly don't care about the women who work at the clubs and have to put up with these assholes and have no power. But he put out a clip, and we never do this, by the way. This is also a super special episode. Yes. And I said to Sonia, I heard this particular Crystalia clip where he basically says you can't shame a person into being who you want them to be. Here is this brilliant thinker right now.
That's the thing. You can't shame someone into becoming what you want them to become. It pushes them the other fucking way. You can't do that. It doesn't work the way you want.
I have a hard time not thinking about Charles Manson because since I was like 10 years old and I first read Helter Skelter. But listening to this guy and he's saying shame as if shame doesn't work. And I'm like, yeah, shame works. If you have a goddamn conscience.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, and just like, how dare you hold me responsible for my actions? I'm just going to double down and run towards people who won't hold me responsible for my actions.
I'm going to go after more girls and younger.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck this guy.
He didn't say that, but I said this really got in my brain because I remember anytime Charles Manson was interviewed, and believe me, I was stupid enough to watch every single one. He didn't have any new content. I was waiting for a new answer. But this is his reply from 1987. It's an interview he did with the Today Show, and they asked him, do you ever feel remorse?
You never felt it?
Remorse for what? You people have done everything in the world to me. Doesn't that give me equal right? I can do anything I want to you people at any time I want to, because that's what you've done to me. If you spit in my face and smack me in the mouth and throw me in solitary confinement for nothing, what do you think's going to happen when I get out of here? Guilty. I wouldn't do anything that I felt guilty about.
You don't feel guilty at all?
There's no need to feel guilty. I haven't done anything I'm ashamed of.
Spoiler. He doesn't feel remorse. Never did.
Because he's a fucking monster.
He's an asshole. And I have to say, like, between the two of them, the one with more charisma is not the failed musician. That's the dead one. The guy that actually goes on stage and tells jokes, have lots of fans. He's kind of a bore, I think.
He is a bore. Honestly, I had never heard of this dude. I had never heard of him until all the news came out that he was a total creep. And I was like, who now?
Well, since Me Too, and there's all this stuff going on about, is there too much Me Too? Is it too people getting canceled and the cancel and the cancel and the cancel?
Yes.
Going back to Jen Kirkman. So first of all, I want to say Alice Hamilton, her special is called Sex Kriminal, and she spells sex with a C and criminal with a K. For the C-K, as in the Louis C.K., because she's fucking genius. She's a smarty pants.
It's such a great special. I'm like, more of these. I'm here for it.
Absolutely. Jen released her album called OK Gen X, and it's doing great on iTunes, everywhere that's streaming. Please stream it. Please get it. She had a story in there about Louis C.K., and she recently did an interview for a show called Juicy Scoop, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's Heather McDonald. She mostly talks about pop culture, like and lots of reality TV. She's usually, if there's a housewife being interviewed for Hulu,
all right,
get Heather on there.
Got it.
And she interviewed Jen, and I put a link in the show notes. It's episode 643, and Jen Kirkman really talks about what really, really happened with Louis, and it's a case of somebody over the years just pushing your boundaries. What can we
Yeah.
talk about when I'm around you? How much more can I talk about it? And that's grooming. It's pretty disgusting. And she makes a great case for the guy is just a fucking liar.
Yeah.
Doesn't care, has no shame, no remorse. No remorse,
No.
man. He's just like,
No remorse.
do you remember when Bob Odenkirk played Manson on the Ben Stiller show?
I don't remember.
Oh, God, I'll put that in the Facebook group.
I'm going to look it up.
It's called Ask Manson. It was really fantastic. But we've just had all these people recently just doing this shitty stuff in comedy. And I'm just to the point now, like, we used to be kind of scared of people coming after us because
Yeah.
the CK fans are really hostile. And
Yes.
he does not have, I remember, he will never tell them no. He will never tell them stop. I remember when the Dixie Chicks and George Bush. So, I mean, I didn't think a lot about George Bush. Shock.
Yeah. Shocker. We didn't like him. Not a fan.
But
Not
I
a fan of
thought-
his work.
I thought when these women were getting their life threatened,
Yes.
that he would say something along the lines like, look, leave him alone. I can handle it. I'm the president. I'm supposed to be criticized. No, he let it happen. And this
Yeah.
is the same thing, Louis C.K. And I think it's because he enjoys it. I think he just enjoys watching,
Yeah.
women and doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
He just cares about his fans.
Yeah, and Jen Kirkman has made a really good point on Twitter too, where she is constantly, and this is true, I think, for a lot of female comedians, they're being constantly asked, like, what do you think about sexual, like about Louis C.K. winning a Grammy? What do you think about sexual assault in comedy? Blah, 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 blah. Like, what do you think of the Me Too? But they're never asking the male comedians this.
No.
It's like, and she's like, stop asking me these questions. Why aren't you asking Patton Oswalt or
Doug Benson.
another, yeah, like ask these guys what they think.
The burden is on us to say something. The burden is on us to prove that it happened. The burden is on us to make it seem important. And then we take the shit if nobody does anything.
Yes.
And so what do we get out of it? But no guy will do it because they don't want to, they think they're going to have some Louis C.K. magic around them. And she also
Right.
makes a really good point in the special. Like, he always talks about how he lost $50 million. And it's like, no, you lost a deal that maybe would have been worth $50 million. I don't know
Right.
that's true. How the fuck would I know?
Also, I don't care.
Yes, I don't care either. That's a
I
good
don't
point.
care. I'm sorry that there were consequences for your bullshit. Well, I'm not sorry.
No,
sorry,
but
not
he-
sorry. Like, I'm like, too fucking bad.
Yeah.
Don't force women to look at your dick.
And
Seems
asking
easy.
doesn't mean you're getting consent. It means you're getting weird and strange and you're messing with someone's boundaries. For a lot of us, that's not a normal question.
Yeah.
And it's not one I
Yeah.
just shrug off easily. You know, I'm not Sarah Silverman. I don't think that shit's adorable. I get it. I just get really freaked out by it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's predatory behavior, by the way.
Yes. We're not kink shaming here. This is not kink shaming. This is sexual assault.
Right.
This is or sexual battery or whatever they
Harassment.
want to call it. Yeah.
But he called like his agent's secretary and would ask her about it. He did this to women that worked on his shows. This is not. I mean, it's
They're
not-
women who worked for him.
or wanted to.
Yeah,
wanted
they were.
to
He
be
was in a place of
comedy
power.
Business, yes. Anyway, D'Elia's the same thing. He had a lot of power. But
Brr.
But do you remember that show he did with Whitney? What's her name? Whitney Cummings? Is that her
Oh,
name?
Whitney Cummings. She's another one who.
Oy.
Yeah.
I used to like her. She was really funny. And
No.
then the whole racism thing comes out, and she's like, "Well, the comedian's supposed to take your brain to a dark and spooky place." Like, no.
That's privilege.
You're a grown ass woman. You know what's right and wrong.
Yeah. I'm wondering what do you think male comedians would say if a gay male comedian was whipping out his dick
You know what?
at dudes and forcing them to watch?
Some would laugh, but some, their gay panic would hit in. And if they didn't hit the guy, they would get somebody to hit him. They would figure it out, and someone would beat the shit out of the guy. And that's to scare him off. That's what would happen. They won't do that for a woman, by the way. Like, because there's Jen Kirkman's friends well, I don't know which one of them is like Brian Posehn. He's